Welcome to the Austin Behind the Creative Scenes podcast, where we explore how creative individuals already in the industry made it, are making it, or even got out of it. Their everyday actions could be the things you are struggling with as a performing artist. I'm Austin, your host, and together we'll embark on a journey to discover a little bit more about the real life behind the creative scenes. Join us as we delve into inspiring stories, expert insights, and practical tips from people who have been there, done that, and learned from it. Whether you're a seasoned pro or you're just starting your journey, this podcast is for you. So let's dive in and explore the world of the entertainment industry, one series at a time. This podcast is sponsored by the award-winning Mortgages for Actors, the financial services for you and your family. Visit the website to find out more. So, hello Matt, how are you doing?
Hello, Austin. I'm very well, man. How are you?
Really good, thank you. Thanks for agreeing to come onto the podcast. It's nice to meet you, and even if it's face-to-face on a computer instead of in real life. Yeah, so a little bit about this podcast is we just try to help each other and try and have a chat and see what, we can throw out there into the openness to see if we can help someone with their career as well.
Yeah, fantastic.
So you've been doing this a while. I mean, tell us who you are, what you do.
I am Matt Mills. I'm a professional actor, singer, dancer. I've been in the industry professionally for over a decade. Um, yeah, I've done a bit of everything. I've had my hand in kind of many different pies, as it were, to do with the industry, whether that be TV, little bits, small bits of film, a lot of theatre, a lot of live performance work, backing dancing work. Yeah, I've done a bit of everything and run my own company for a while, and so I've done a bit of everything and tried a lot of different stuff until I found found my groove in what I wanted to do with the industry.
I follow you on Instagram, so I've seen a few of your posts, and before today I quickly scrolled down a bit further than you normally would. Hope I didn't like anything, so it was a bit awkward.
No, go ahead, mate. It's absolutely fine. I don't mind.
But I saw you were in Dance Mob for a while, weren't you? Is that right?
Yes, I was. Yeah. Fantastic, fantastic company. At the time when I was part of it, was run by Francesca McDuff. She was great. No, I'm confusing two different people. Francesca McDuff. She was brilliant. And it's taken over new kind of, I guess, bosshood, as it were. It's passed down to someone else who's gone onto new kind of like ownership. Yeah. And you can tell my brain's still like working, waking up on it.
Right. That's right.
But
so
it's all right. No, I'm joking. So basically, Dance Mob was like just a live performance company. We did a lot of flash mobs when flash mobs were like a really, really big thing. It's still a big thing, but like when it was like really, really kicking off. We do singing flash mobs, dancing flash mobs, for like wedding proposals or some quite big kind of like companies like Puma, Nike, Samsung, all that type of stuff. We do kind of like flash mobs and kind of like live performance for their events and corporate events and stuff like that. So yeah, it was great. Lovely work. I had a great time. It taught me a lot about kind of like little bits about business, but little bits about kind of like going into different spaces and not knowing what you're going to see. Knowing like what your performance space is going to be.
Going in head
first. Could be far more space. Far more space than you plan for, or like a really kind of condensed space, and you have to really make stuff work. And a lot to do with kind of like adaptation as well on the fly, because we have different choreographies for different performances, of course, but it's kind of adapting that to fit where we need it to be. So Yep,
cool. You've done a lot of stage as well, haven't you? You've been on the Tina Turner tour, which is quite a good way of saying it.
So it's Tina Turner in town. So that was in West End. But I did quite a bit of touring theatre beforehand. So I did Beautiful, the UK tour of Beautiful. I did the UK tour of Motown, and recently I've just come off the UK tour of Dreamgirls playing Curtis Taylor Jr. So yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. So it seems like you've been doing this for quite a long time then, really, haven't you? So how long have you been in the business?
Well, my first ever professional gig was when I was like 16, and I was doing a small part in Sweeney Todd. That's kind of my first kind of like pro debut. But I would say that like I started really getting into the kind of the crux of the industry around 2021. So that's why I said about a decade, because I'm 31
Yeah.
now, nearly 32. So yeah, about a decade I've been in it.
Oh, that's good.
And yeah, it's changed a lot over that
Yeah.
time, but then also stayed relatively the same as well. It's very interesting in that respect.
In that respect as well, mirroring you there.
Mm.
How did you find lockdown?
Ooh, lockdown was tough, man. Lockdown was
Yeah.
really tough. It's a story for you. So we just got Tina. I scored Tina in oh God, 2019,
Yeah.
the November I found out. Um, and then we started rehearsals in February, and I was just coming off of Motown at the time. So
Yeah.
just coming off Motown and just about to start Tina rehearsals, and we get into like the February time. Rehearsals are going great, absolutely fantastic. You know, you finally get to West End. It's kind of a very big deal. You know what I mean? It's this
Definitely.
thing which you
Definitely.
dream about, and you're there and you're doing it.
Mm.
So then we're doing it, and we're going through, and we finally get into the Aldwych Theatre,
Mhm.
and this is around the time that a lot of the reports are coming from Italy, talking about this
Yeah.
virus that's going around
Yeah,
that
across
is
the
kind of
country, isn't it?
devastating.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's just this devastating kind of virus that's kind of going around Italy, and we're hearing it on the news, we're getting updates on our phone, and we're in Tech Week, so it's the most stressful time of any theatre show, because it's all the other parts of theatre that make theatre,
Yeah.
um, doing their job in a very finite amount of time.
Pulling it all together
Um,
quickly. Yeah.
Precisely, and you've
Mm.
got the producers there as well. You've got a lot of kind of like upper management, as well as
Yeah.
the creatives, as well as obviously the cast and everyone else. So there's a lot of new meetings and all this type of stuff. And the day before we were going to have um, our opening night,
Hmm.
West End went dark.
Oh,
That was
such
on the
bad.
Monday. That was on a
Oh,
Monday, the week before the nationwide lockdown. So
yeah.
theatre went into lockdown a week before the nation did, and
And it
we
was so
came out of
unsure as
it
well. No
as
one
one
knew
of
what
the
was going to
last
happen. Did
people.
they?
Sorry, say that again.
I said no one knew what was going to happen either, did they? It was so unsure at the time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and you go into this thing thinking, oh, it's going to be a couple of weeks. People think it's going to be a week. My brain went, let's give it a couple of months, because it sounds a
Mm.
bit mental, and the fact that we're like
Yeah.
all being told to stay
Probably
inside
does.
and stay in groups and bubbles and all that type of stuff. I was like, let's give it a couple of months.
Yeah.
And it was an unprecedented time. I mean, the West End didn't close in the war during
Yeah. No, it
Blitz.
didn't.
Do you know
It
what I
didn't.
mean? Like,
But it did to that this time.
you
Yeah.
know, so yeah, yeah, exactly. And you've got this virus that's just shut down the
Mm.
entirety of the West End.
Yeah.
It was a really tough time. It was a tough time to witness our industry,
And it was a tough time,
and
not just for a
the
few people. It was a tough time for
mm,
thousands, like across the whole country, possibly even the whole of
100%.
Europe and the world.
Yeah,
So yeah, I mean, it
yeah.
was
Tours,
unprecedented.
yeah, yeah, man, absolutely. And I think, tours got cancelled. There were certain West End shows that were on kind of like shorter contracts, 3 to 4 months that
Mm.
were going. They got scrapped immediately. It was just a really, really tough time to just hear people losing their jobs when they work so hard to get them.
Yeah.
Luckily for me, I was in a long running show like Tina, and it kind of weathered the storm, but it was a very, very tough time.
Yeah.
And I obviously I have a lot of friends who work in theatre and work in big kind of commercial theatre. So we were all kind of having these conversations, just not knowing what's going on, and the
Mm.
only source of information for anything going on was the news. And then the news took
Yeah.
ages to get to the art sector, even though we pay
Did.
an inordinate amount of tax as an industry.
Oh
It
yes.
took ages for them to even get to us and
Yeah, but
self-employed people, as
I
as
personally think you
as
were the
you know,
main
as
story.
we're
Yeah.
all self-employed businesses.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, financially it was really, really tough. Mental health wise, it was really tough,
Mm.
and it was just trying to find ways. I'm a massive gamer. I'm a huge, huge gamer. Um, so that's what kind of got me through
Yeah.
lockdown a lot, really, being able to
What
escape
you
to other
did, really.
worlds and having
Did
some,
you just sort of like wait it
yeah,
out?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Just hibernated effectively, and it was nice. I got to kind of connect with people who are close to me in ways that I
Hmm.
wouldn't have been able to without
Yeah.
lockdown, and I'm very, very thankful for that. And also, coming out of it, I got to be part of the wave that kind of set West End back on its
Pushed
feet
back out.
again, and
Yeah,
and that was an
definitely.
amazing experience for yeah, from my first ever West End show to be part of that kind of push and part of that move was
That's
a
amazing.
lovely experience, a great
Yeah,
experience. So
it's
yeah.
really good. Then. So what did you find the most like? I know what you found the best part of lockdown was because you got to spend a bit more time with your family, a
Mm,
bit more time around the house. We're pretty much
mm.
stuck in the house, but a bit more time just connecting with
Yeah,
people. What did you find the hardest bit apart
yeah.
from not working? Because that's pretty obvious. What did you find the hardest bit of the whole lockdown thing?
Um, I think the hardest bit about the whole lockdown thing was the not knowing.
Mm.
I think that was the hardest bit of a lot of it because, for every step forward, the kind of the initiative to kind of bring people out for summer and bring people out for food and yada yada yada. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh my God, we might get back in, in thing. There's just this kind of might of maybe possibly
Oh
way of
yes.
living your life, which is
Well done,
quite
Boris.
it's yeah, exactly. It is quite emblematic of the industry in general, maybe
Mm.
possibly in the mix, and so on and so forth.
Oh, yeah.
Um, so it's that, but it's every facet of your life, you
Hmm.
know. And I
Yeah.
think the not knowing was the hardest bit for everything,
Hmm.
because when we finally got the go ahead to kind of like, yo, we're going to go back, we're going to start rehearsals, there was this trepidation because, like, as actors are very tactile, we
Proactive.
don't have any boundaries and understanding of yeah,
Yeah.
personal space. We're massive huggers, always kind of like tactile touch, and we had to keep distance from each other, but we had to work intimately with each other.
Which is,
It was this very
I
kind of
mean,
oxymoronic,
yeah.
yeah, and so and the kind of the trepidation that it's set in your subconscious. You've been
Hmm.
told to not go near people, do not have the basic
Yeah.
fundamental human interaction with the people who we spend the most time with and have to get
Exactly.
to
And
know.
that,
It was really difficult coming back into
mm,
our job. So I would say, yeah, the not knowing and then the kind of trepidatious kind of mindset that they put
yeah.
into us to keep us safe,
Oh, sure.
basically to then step back into the industry and try to function in that industry without that basic interaction was
Yeah.
really
Plus,
tough. So I would say
you
those are the
you
two
had a lot of
parts,
time.
you
Yeah,
know.
I mean, you had a lot of time where you weren't seeing these people that you would normally be seeing every day. Yet you're ready to go. You know what you've
Yeah.
got to do, but you need to be able to practice first, don't you,
Mm,
with the other person, for just to stay in sync more than anything.
yeah.
I mean, if you got, I mean,
Yeah,
you're practicing at home.
absolutely.
If you're practicing at home, you get 1 foot wrong at home, you might not notice it, but as soon as you get on that stage and someone else
Yeah.
is mirroring you, you're screwed.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And I think yeah, that was definitely the hardest thing. I think it was the after effect of being away like from people. I'm a conversationalist. I love talking. I love talking to people. I love finding out stuff about people. I love, understanding why people are the way they are and tick the way they
Same,
tick.
hands up, same.
And it's really hard to do that.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
really hard to do that once you've not been doing that for a year. And for us it was a year and a half, well, a year and three or nearly 4 months
it was
by the
awful. Yeah,
time we got
long
back
time.
to work. So lockdown was longer for actors. I mean,
Yeah,
longer for theatre actors. Television and film kind of went back before we did, but
it did, but
um,
obviously by the state of the
yeah,
telly, like the state of some of the series that just kind of flopped around that time, they were struggling as well. Like there wasn't, it didn't.
yeah,
I'm not going to name any names, but people
it's
know.
the
They know.
yeah. I mean, a lot of things. We had like delayed releases of things,
Yeah,
delayed performances of stuff. Um, Even the kind of audition scene now is still kind of feeling the ramifications of things starting all around the same time bracket within the year.
yeah,
With
yeah.
theatre, there was always kind of like a steady kind of line of auditions because certain things would be ending,
An
cast
overlap. Yeah,
changes, da da. And now, like a lot of the cast changes are all around a certain time of the year where
yeah,
the producer's like, we're free, we're back, we can do shows, let's fucking go. Like, you know,
Yeah,
like that
exactly.
immediate, like
Let's
let's,
all do
you know, yeah, let's get back making money. Let's not mess around.
it. Yeah.
Which, you know, absolute fair dues to them, because, you know, the sooner they're back making money, the sooner we're back making money, and
Hmm.
that was the kind of terrifying thing as well. You know, hearing about people's financial situations, and
Yeah.
you know, it was a tough time overall. I would say that it was those two things. I think, like, the actual
Mm.
lockdown itself and not knowing, and that idea of just like not having that kind of social interaction, it really did a number on people's mental health. And I think there was
Yeah. Yeah.
what's come from that, though, the beauty of it is that the conversation in the social zeitgeist and lexicon of mental health, that has
Yeah.
improved exponentially
Big time. Massively, in
after
fact.
lockdown. So I think that's a beautiful thing that's come from it. And I always like try to end on something positive and good because, you know, it's so easy to kind of focus on like everything that was bad about
Y-
lockdown, you know. But I think
Yeah.
those conversations down and socially are so much more acceptable now, you know.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, from my side of things, I mostly work at my home office anyway, my desk and computer and Zoom and things like. I mean,
Mm.
like Zoom before lockdown was sort of almost like giggled about, but then as soon as lockdown hit, it became the lifeline. And I mean, to be honest,
Yeah.
every single client, every single time, I'd go out, get on the train, go to London every single day. And now I think to myself, I can do more for these people now because I can see 10 people in a day rather than one. So to me, it's helped me and it's
Right.
helped people as well. So lockdown has got some positives.
Mm. 100%. 100%.
And well, talking of this, so we can see how easy it is to get knocked out of the race quickly. You actually had an illness, didn't you? Where you
Mm.
had an I'm going to try and say it, ischemic attack. No, sorry, it's an ischemic stroke, and which is, in case people don't know,
Yeah.
is a blood clot which blocks the flow of oxygen to your brain, doesn't it? Is that right?
Mm.
Yes. And
Yes,
you
absolutely.
you
Absolutely, yeah.
recovered from this just before you started getting back out there, didn't you? Not long
Yeah,
before the
so
lockdown.
effectively, yeah, long before the lockdown.
Yeah.
It was a year before. Well, just under. So lockdown happened in March.
Hmm.
My stroke happened in April.
Yes.
Um, April 14th to be precise. Um, so yeah, so effectively, I had, yeah, an ischemic stroke, very well explained. It cut off there's blood clot on the left hand side of my brain, so it affected the right hand side of my body.
Hmm.
And it rendered basically my right side useless. I couldn't walk
Really?
properly. I could
It's
I could
completely
barely
fit.
walk.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and my right arm, whole of my right arm was useless as well, more or less. Um, with a very intense level of pins and needles. And when you think pins and needles, like, oh, it's not too bad. It's just a bit of an
It's
inconvenience. But
terrible after, yeah.
if the pins and needles became shrapnel and katanas, and
Oh,
it was seesawing in
oh,
and out of your
really?
arm. That's what nerve damage feels like.
Mm.
It's really it was a very, very tough time.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of I think there was a twofold thing here. It was like the physical idea of the fact that I wasn't, I danced for years. I did
Mm.
martial arts for 7 years. I was a swimmer when
Yeah.
I was younger. I was very active, always been a very active human being. And the physical aspect of not being able to walk and learning how to walk again, and kind of teaching myself how to do that, because I didn't get physio from the NHS, because the NHS is, I mean, it's overcrowded when, talking about lockdown, but
Oh,
even
yeah.
before that, very,
Yeah.
very
It's still
overcrowded,
busy. Yeah,
and getting
definitely.
physio on the NHS is, yeah, I got offered physio on the NHS 2 months after my stroke. No, no, not 2 months after my stroke. 2 months after I'd gone back to work after my recovery of my stroke.
Did you go for
That's
that?
when I got offered physio. No, no, I
No.
didn't. But I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why I didn't. So yeah, it's really, really hard to get physio. So it was kind of like that physical aspect, but the hardest thing was the mental aspect, because
Yeah.
luckily my face didn't droop. I was still very cognizant of everything that was happening to me, and everything like that. I didn't get kind of any like lesser brain functionality or anything like that.
It's really good.
I could still kind of like kind of rev myself up to do it, but the mental aspect of doing that was really tough, and
Yeah,
the
I bet it
mental
was.
aspect of not looking at myself as a not putting myself into a victim mentality mind state and kind of
Mm,
going into, because you have fight or flight response, right? My
mm,
response is always to
mm.
fight. That's always what it is, stand my ground and fight.
Same.
So my mentality was to do that and push myself forward and,
Good.
excuse the pun, but, a step in the right direction every day, even
Of
if it,
course.
and it's going to be incremental progress.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, over 8 weeks, I had a very good friend of my mum's, basically take me to the gym, do a couple of sequences in the gym, every week, 2 to 3 times a week, and then I was living in a block of flats at the time, and I swore that I would never take that elevator,
Oh, good man.
because you never know how valuable something is to you until it's taken away, right?
Yeah,
So
good.
my thing was like, I need to understand the gift I've been given, being able to walk up and down stairs.
Good.
So
Yeah.
part of my training every day was going up and down 7 flights of stairs. So I lived on the 7th floor. I was going up 7 flights of stairs every day. And the first time, I swear to God, I was crying my eyes out the entire time I was doing it, because I was just like, I never realized how much I miss going up and down stairs
Yeah.
and walking and doing the things that came naturally to me and I never thought
Hmm.
about. And I was now in this situation where I was having to learn how to do something I took for granted for
Yes.
27 years of my life. Because when I had my stroke, I was 27 years old.
Yeah. And that's
Um,
young. That's so young.
Gaming again was, yeah, go on. Sorry.
I just said that's young. That was so young to be hit with something so serious.
Yeah, yeah, man. I mean, there are people who. The one thing I always try to kind of remind myself, that I did a lot of research whilst I was kind of on my
Mm,
recovery, was that people get hit with strokes a lot younger and a lot harder than I did.
really.
Luckily, I was very lucky.
Yeah.
The probability was in my favor the day it happened. Um,
Yeah.
for those who the probability isn't in their favor, they have a dramatic change in their overall life, and
Yeah.
it's tough. And I can't begin to count my lucky stars enough to be able to still do what I do, to still be able to walk places, to go to the gym. I've started going to the gym a lot more, like, within the last year
Good.
to 2 years, of my life, and, get myself a lot kind of healthier and been able to do parts that I never thought I'd be able to do. So
That's
I've
good.
been given that opportunity of a continued life, an
Mm,
expectancy that, I got used to and kind of got back to again to a certain extent.
yeah. And that's
But I
really
know
good.
that there are so many people who aren't, and
Yeah.
my heart goes out to them, because it's a tough thing to be able to get through. And mine affected me. Mine still affects me in the fact that I have to take clopidogrel, which is a very, very heightened blood thinner, and I take that every day, which is a lovely reminder. I look at it as a lovely reminder for the
Yeah.
life I get to lead. You
Yeah. Of
know,
course.
um, and just certain pains every now and again, a little bit of heaviness, a little bit, when I get tired, that side's the
Yeah.
side that gets tired quicker,
Yeah.
all that type of stuff. It's just a little bit of a reminder, but those are mere, you know,
Definitely. I mean,
flecks on a on
yeah,
a
that's it.
yeah,
But I mean, being self-employed as well, there's a lot of trepidation that comes with
yeah,
that as well, isn't there? It's not just physical. There's a lot of mental
100%.
points. You're suddenly thinking, "Oh
Mm,
shit, am I going to be able to go back to work?" And basically, that's
yeah,
it. That day, you stopped working,
yeah. I
and
thought
that
I
was
thought I
yeah,
thought my life was done as I knew it,
yeah,
and one of the very clear memories, I only had about 3 days in hospital, which is really weird. You think you have a stroke, you think you'd be in hospital a lot
I think
longer,
so.
but
Yeah,
I was in yeah, I was in hospital until the Wednesday. And it happened on a Sunday. I was in hospital till the Wednesday, and one of the first days, a doctor came in with a bunch of like trainee kind of people who were on site
mm,
doing this, and they kind of came in. Obviously, 27-year-old has a stroke. This is a brilliant teaching opportunity, which is great. But it's also a 27-year-old who's had a stroke. So
yeah.
what you need
You're
to do is you
slightly
need to
treated.
actually talk to them. So
Yeah,
they like came in and spoke about me, but not to me. And I'm
yeah.
sat there like,
Well,
I'm fucking terrified. Like I
yeah,
I could have died. Like, can
mm,
you just actually speak to me? So that's what I said. Can you fucking speak to me, please? I said, I'm
yeah.
so sorry for swearing, but like, I
To be honest,
need you to tell me what's going on, because
yeah. I mean, I totally feel you
you
on this
know,
one because when I was 19, I crashed my car and I smashed both my legs to pieces. One bone was like 5 times broken.
Jesus.
And I went through the same thing. I went to the
Wow.
hospital. They weren't sure if they could save my legs. They weren't sure if I'd ever walk again, all this sort of thing.
Mm.
And it was the same. I was laying in my bed thinking this actually still really hurts, even though they've done the first operation. And this like 10 people comes in and they start looking at me, prodding me, saying, yes, he's this, he's that. And I thought, can't you tell me anything? And I didn't say anything because I was probably a bit too polite at 19. But they all turned off and they just walked off. And when you sit there and you think, hello?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I was angry because I think my fight was kicking in. Like, I think it's the only reason why I responded the way I responded. Like, I think like if I'd had that same situation, which I'm so sorry you went through, by the way, mate. That's
That's right. Okay. It's a long time.
But I think my fight kicked in, and I was just like, "Can you tell me what's going on?"
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I was absolutely, incandescent. And they started to tell me what's going on, and I apologized, and they continued, and they said, "Look, we think you need about 15 to 16 weeks to rest." And I said, "Okay." And they said, "Well, your brain functionality, and kind of repair happens within 6 to 8 weeks." I said, "That sounds a lot better."
Yeah.
So they said, "Okay." Well, I said, "What is the quickest time I can go back to doing what I've done before? You have my file. You know what I do as a living. I need to know what's going on." Because I was at that moment, I was in Motown. So I was in the absolute throes of tour, and we were halfway through the tour. And I was like, I need to know what's going on. So they basically said, "Oh yeah, well we think there's a possibility, but we think the earliest maybe is like 12 to 13 weeks." So you said my brain heals by 6 to 8. I said, "I'm going to take the top of what you said there. 8 weeks, I'll be back on the stage." And 8 weeks to the day, I was back on the stage. So it was that kind of thing of yes, it was, but it was that was what was in my head. That conversation went through my mind every minute of every day. So every time I was going up and down them stairs, it was, "Oh, we think no, it's going to be 8." It's that type of.
Yeah, too right.
It's the fight. that's what happened. But
your own body responds to it as well, doesn't it? Your own body listens to your brain and goes, "All right."
Yeah, we're going to fight and we're going to do this. And it taught me some of the biggest lessons about myself. I realized how strong I was. I realized how focused I was. And I realized that I had a level of resiliency that I knew that it was there subconsciously, but it never had to be brought to the foreground. And nothing's better than a test, right? So, and this was life or death for me. This was life or death for me, because although I did still have my life, I didn't have my life the way I'd understood it and come to create it.
Yeah, of course.
And it was me fighting for my life, fighting for what I love, and the people I love as well, So it was all of that. It was kind of a proper Rocky moment. It was like a full-on Rocky training montage,
You pulled through and you got to the other side and you're back on top again. So that's always good.
Yeah. But one of the things I would. Go on. Sorry, I'm so sorry. I think I'm a little bit lagging behind you.
Yeah, one of the things I said I wouldn't talk about finance, but I just want to quickly pop this in because it is something I talk about a lot. But when for example, I don't know if you got a mortgage or not. I'm sure we'll get to that one day. But
not at the moment.
But so one of the things we talk about is this sort of thing happening to people. So when you've got a mortgage, if you don't pay, like with a rent, if you're renting, you can usually talk to the landlord and he might go, "Do you know what? We'll let you, give you a couple of months to recover." But when you've got a mortgage and you don't pay 1 month, that's it. They already start ticking the boxes to get you out of the house. And if you have something in place, like what I do suggest is like its actual name is income protection, which is a crap name for sick pay. So if you're off injured, like that, they start to pay you instead. So you've got some money to pay stuff with, and it's little things like that that really help you get through it all. And having
absolutely
thing with people, it does make people go a little bit like, "Oh, it never happened to me," but it did actually happen to you. You 27 years old.
It did.
And you're thinking, "I've got no money." So it's essential stuff like this, and to know we're not. And I think your story shows that.
On the back of that,
on
the back of that, Austin. Sorry to interrupt you, but on the back of that, I would like to also commend the union, Actors Union Equity.
Yeah,
they supported my financial. When I ran out of sick pay at work. Really? So, I had quite a lot of sick pay there. So for the first month, I was okay.
Yeah.
The second month, the first 3 weeks of the first month, I was fine.
Yeah.
The second month, I had nothing. I was on the minimum of minimum. And
Oh,
Motown was a very well
oh,
paid contract. So it was the
yeah,
minimum of minimum. And it was such a fall in
yeah.
pay. And Equity got in contact with me, and they paid my phone bill, they paid my rent, they paid my part of my rent, sorry, not all of it, but part of my rent.
Hmm.
They were fantastic. They were,
Mm.
excuse me, they
That's
were
good.
absolutely phenomenal. And this is one of the reasons why I do fully stand behind Equity, because when I needed them, they were there, and I didn't realize I had that much access to them in the
Yeah,
situation I was in.
no, that's it.
Um,
Very good
but they
option.
were
That's
absolutely phenomenal, you know.
good.
So that's another thing I want to shout out, because
Yeah,
Equity get a bad rep for a lot of different things that are not
yeah,
necessarily in their control, but people think is in their control and thinks should be in their control.
absolutely.
And Equity are fighting back a lot right now, and I absolutely commend them because I know people who are in it. Um,
Yeah,
in terms of people who are at the top talking to producers and trying to negotiate, better overall deals for actors in contracts. They are
definitely.
working so hard right now, and they've always been working hard, and doing stuff like they did for me is one of the reasons why I will always be an Equity member,
That's
for as
amazing.
long as,
It's so
I'm
good to have
doing
that
this
backup.
job in this
Yeah,
industry. They're amazing. They're
good,
amazing.
good.
So,
And there's different levels of membership as well, isn't there? So I mean, it's always good to read
yes.
the small print. It's like one of my jobs is to read small print, and to make sure that you've got the
Yeah.
one you need, not just the cheapest one, because it's not always what's good, is it? Like if you're paying 10 quid a
Yes.
minute, you
Yeah.
can't expect them to pay 6 months of your rent, can you? Do you know what I mean?
No, exactly. Exactly. You got it. At the end of the day, Equity pays for itself when you're in a job. And
Yeah,
more than that, every single job that you do get, whether you're part of Equity or not, especially on the West End, is an Equity salt contract. So they are
mm,
still defending you, even though you are not a part of them and paying
yeah,
into the union.
which is good.
They still defend you. They still defend your legal rights.
Hmm.
And that is something which is the quote unquote, the equity minimum when you're working in the West End. If you're not part of
Yeah,
Equity, you are benefiting from those who are part of the union, which I do feel personally all actors should be a part of. It makes for a stronger union. The
well,
union
yeah.
isn't just for people,
Mm.
who are,
Four people
faceless
have an
people. They
yeah,
come into, yeah, exactly. Like that, the union is us, is the people who are part of it. And
exactly.
if you're not part of it, yeah, you're not part of the union. But I am. The union
Yeah.
member stood next to you. You're benefiting off of people plowing into that,
Hmm.
because you get the better contracts, the better rates of pay, the better rates of sick pay, the better holidays, the better all of these
Yeah,
things you benefit from.
which you
So,
didn't think in
I
England was
think,
going to
and
happen.
also, equity pension plan, brilliant.
Mm.
All of these things. I think one of the things that I would give as massive advice to kind of young actors is to, and I know it's boring, I know it's not exciting, but there's a reason why people don't make contracts exciting to look at and exciting to read, is because if you just go, I'm going to sign whatever and do that,
Yeah,
and kind of because it's a job and that's the exciting bit, and they put the
yeah.
header of the job you're in, let's
Don't
say
want to
it's
get turned down. Yeah,
Tina
no,
or
I know.
Dreamgirls, or
Yeah,
you see that, you're like, oh my God, they want me to be part of that. That's what they're
sign, sign,
banking
sign.
on. That's
Yeah,
why everything else is, yeah, that's why everything else is black and white.
yeah,
And it's like, you need to read that, because you have all of your power pre-signing a contract.
absolutely. You
All of your
do.
power resides in that moment. Obviously, I'm preaching to the choir, but it's just kind of anyone who's listening, learn the business of show business. Just don't be excited by the show part of everything. Let
That's
that be
right.
the reason why you are excited about the business side of show business. And you do that, you won't go far wrong.
And do you know what?
So,
This leads on to one of the questions I penciled down before this. How
yeah.
do you how do I do this? So how do you keep
Mm,
the passion in your business? So I know that any job,
mm.
no matter any job in the world, even mine, which I absolutely love,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
get to
yeah.
the point where you have those days where you just think, "Do you know what? I can't be bothered." How do you push yourself through that
Mm.
when you have to get up and go?
I would say that any type of relationship works on a lot of the same fundamentals or foundations.
Hmm.
So if you're in a relationship with a significant other, it's work. It's work. To be in a loving long-term relationship, it takes work, and it takes open communication. It
Hmm.
takes a level of humility, a level of agreeableness, a
Yeah,
level of standing your ground and being stubborn. It takes a level of
I'm good at that.
understanding,
Yeah,
and it also takes a level of trying to, and it takes a level of being angry at it as well,
yeah,
like
and
healthily
negotiation sometimes
angry
as
at
well.
it.
Yeah,
Um, And negotiation, 100%,
Mm.
100%. Like, and I think, it's like everything. You have to find the reason as to the reason why you fall in love with something, whether it's, a significant other, or you love your friends like they're your chosen family. That's how I view my friends.
Yeah, same.
Or, your significant other, or your industry, especially,
Hmm.
a lot of people get into this industry because they love it, right? There is a genuine love for what you do. It
Yeah.
could be a broad spectrum and a myriad of reasons as to why you love it and what you get from it, but there is a genuine love in it. And I
Hmm.
think it's falling back in love with why you do what you do, and having that reason be so clear in your mind that it
Yeah.
allows you to take that step forward. It's not like you're going to get this sudden burst of inspiration and you're going to sprint, hop, leap, and fly forwards.
Yeah.
It's this incremental, I will stay with you because I have made a commitment to the love I have for you.
Yeah.
That's like in any relationship,
It reminds you of the
any
passion at the
relationship.
beginning as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, and also it evolves, right? So
Yeah.
the idea of that evolves. Like the friends you have when you're younger for the reasons you have them are very different to the friends you have when you're older and the
Oh yeah.
reasons why you have them.
Oh yeah.
And it's the same thing with the industry now. My objectives within the industry have changed and grown and evolved.
Mm.
But the reason why I do it has stayed the same. If anything, things have been added to it, and evolved, and it's become a lot more mature, in the reason as to why I do what I do. But the nucleus of it is still the same. And I
Good.
think reconnecting with that is something that is highly important, within this industry, because we don't get into it for the money. For a lot of the time, especially theatre. You don't
No,
get into theatre for the money. You
there's a
get
lot
into
of
the
passion
theatre
behind it.
for the love of it. And
Mm.
it's about being honest with yourself. If you really really do love it and you really are willing to
Cool.
commit to it. If you're not, don't do it.
It's just not going to work, is it?
Seriously,
Yeah.
don't do it. don't
No.
don't do it. It will, a lot of the time, you will love it, but sometimes it won't love you back. And you have to understand why you love what doesn't love you back
Yeah,
at certain points as well.
that's it.
It's tough, man. It's a tough industry. And I think one of the things that I wish I could say to every single person without breaking their hope is just allowing them to know it's tough.
Hmm.
Because I think if you know it's tough, because there's been studies done on this as well. One of the things, I can't remember the name of the study, but effectively it's the idea of difficulty. So if you're told, there was three groups of people. One was told that this what is it, this uh, thing that they had to do was going to be really hard.
Okay.
Another one was told it was going to be unbelievably easy, and the third was not given any idea on the idea of difficulty. The
Okay.
actual twist of it was that the thing that they were trying to solve was unsolvable. But what they wanted to measure is how quickly someone would give up. And the people who were told immediately that it was going to be a difficult task spent more time before they gave up, rather than the people who
Really,
were told it was easy and the people had no idea about the idea of difficulty.
it's the challenge,
So
isn't it?
effectively, if you're told it's going to be a challenge and you still love it, even though it's despite the challenge, you're in
Mm,
the right place. But if you're
definitely.
told it's easy, or you're not told any idea of what the difficulty is going to be, it's going to be a really tough day for you, because you're going to be
Yeah.
like, whoa, 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 I was given the expectation this is going to be a cakewalk. This is
Yeah.
going to be really, I go to a
Obviously.
conservatoire 3 years, do that, and now I'm entitled to be
Yeah.
an actor in the industry.
But
And it's
it,
like, no,
it
that's not how
makes
it
you doubt
works.
yourself, doesn't it? That's the trouble. You end up
Right,
thinking, is it me? Am I not good enough? And then it's just a spiral from there, really.
right. Whereas if you're told you've got this hill to climb, you can get there, but it's going to be tough to get there. It's
Yeah.
going to test you. It's going to push you. You're going to get cuts, scrapes, bruises. You're going to have to crawl through shit and mud and fucking bad weather and all of that
Yeah.
type of stuff. But on the way up, you're going to learn more about yourself. And it's not necessarily getting to the top. It's who you became to get
It's
there.
how
Is
far you can go.
what's going to, they'll go, oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. I'll
All
give it a
right,
go.
cool, fine. Right? Versus, if they want to give it a go after that, they're the people who are in the right place, right? They're the people who are going to put in that work.
Yeah.
Whereas you've got people who, if they're told it's going to be easy, told or not given any idea, they're just going to be like, wow, well, that hill is really high. And I was told this was going to be,
Yeah. So I'm not
flat,
even up
plain
for it.
surface.
Yeah. No, I
Yeah.
get
So, that's what
it.
I'd say. I'd say that, getting a real understanding of what you're getting into,
Mm.
and understanding everything that can come with it that's good, and everything that can come with it that's bad, and everything that comes with it that's in the portion of gray in the middle, and you still want to do it, you're in the right place. But
Absolutely.
outside of that, don't do it.
No,
I'm telling you now, it's oversubscribed. Our industry is oversubscribed. You know, so
it's oversubscribed
really,
with new starters that don't want to push hard or expect things to fall in their lap.
yes.
And
And
filling
I think it's yes, exactly. And I think dialing into why the why has to be so strong, because
yeah,
my why, on a slight tangent, I didn't train. I didn't go to a conservatoire for 3 years. I pulled myself up by my bootstraps, and I had fantastic people and mentors along the way who
mm,
guided me in the right direction, and I was always hungry to learn. So I learned every single lesson on the job with the people doing the job.
yeah,
And I had to continuously see people and rise to their level.
yeah.
And my brain was like, if I rise to their level, that's putting a cap on where I can be. Let's see where beyond that cap. Let me try to be better than them. It's not that I was trying to be in competition. It was like, I want to take every single bit of knowledge that they have
Yeah,
and put it into a USP that is me,
yeah.
and figure out how I can go beyond what I see as the best.
Not
And
just that, you can
that's
use,
bettering myself,
yeah, and you can use their experience to get to their level. Then when you're at
Mm,
their level, you can then look up and see who's at the next level and keep pushing and pushing and pushing
mm,
until you're where you want to be. And obviously, you want to be at the top. So
And yeah, and I idealize work ethic rather than kind of like, a lot of
yes,
um like the
really
outcome
important.
of something, I think that was the stuff that I adored about the progress of it and the
Mm,
process of it.
yeah,
It's hard. There's days where you doubt yourself and you feel awful and you feel
of,
terrible and you feel crappy and shitty, and
yeah, of course.
on those days I would advise anyone to really sit down and not necessarily just to dial back into it, but just do something for you. Do something that is completely your own, that you feel you own. Mine's gaming. Mine's
Yeah,
always been gaming. That is the place where I go
that's
to,
your happy place.
yeah, get the equilibrium back in my brain.
Yeah,
You know, but it's tough. It's a
yeah.
tough industry, man. We
It's
make it look good on stage, we make it look easy on stage, but it's a tough gig. It's a
yeah,
tough gig.
it is.
So
And
yeah,
not,
really want it.
there's
Really
not enough
understand why.
how much work you guys do. So hopefully one day it will click and everyone will start to respect it. We'll see. So what do you do to keep,
Yeah,
you
maybe.
just did keep making business come to you? What do you do to keep pushing forward? Apart from learning things yourself,
Um,
how do you gather the work?
yeah. How do I gather the work? I think it's always never be scared to well, number one, research. I think nowadays we have so many things at our fingertips,
Yeah,
where Google is on our phones. We have the world in our pocket, right?
yeah, that's why everyone
And I
looks at videos of
think
cats.
yeah,
Literally look at
yeah,
honesty in the
I
world and
think
you look at videos of cats.
yeah, and it's insane, because but I think I get why. It's because it's immediately rewarding, right?
It is,
Whereas
yeah.
like study and research is not immediately rewarding. It has long-term goals, right? And it's
Yeah.
hard to see the long term when you want it right now. And that's what the world in our pocket has given us. It's given us the right now, the immediate reward, the
Yeah.
immediate dopamine that we feel satisfied with. Whereas like taking time to do research and understanding, how something works is takes a lot longer. So I would say research is one of them things.
Mhm.
Look at what you want to do.
Yeah.
So look at some of the best agents. Look at some of the productions that are going on right now. If they have a website, look at the cast. A lot of the time they'll say where they trained. Sometimes if you find them, sometimes you can take that look on Instagram. They usually have, anyone who's usually part of the performing arts world usually has an Instagram.
Yeah.
So on there, it'll probably have who they're repped by. So take a look on them, see who they're repped by. Look at their books. Do they have anybody who looks like you? Do they have anybody who has the same type of experience as you? Okay, cool. They don't. There's a gap in the market there. Let me message them. I
Oh,
think
yeah.
it's being proactive
Hmm.
rather than reactive. Business comes to you when you've been proactive enough, where your name's been around and people go, hey, I want to work with that person, or I've heard about you through X, Y, and Z person. So your proactiveness kind of boomerangs around, right? And it comes back to you in a really good and very positive way. And also, working very, very hard on the jobs you do get will always set you up well for other jobs.
Definitely.
People do. One of the things people don't realize, especially within West End theatre, all the directors, all the producers, everyone, they all know each other.
Yeah, of course.
So it's kind of, they will do informal and formal job references. And when you're going in for a role, they will ask your previous director, what was he like to work with? What was he like in the room? Who is he like as a person? What vibe does he bring or she bring or they bring to the working environment that they're in?
Yeah.
What they do. So I think leaving a good impression and leaving stuff in a good place and working hard, keeping your head down, doing the job, not gaining too much of a kind of ego, but understanding that ego is there to protect you, not to put down others.
Yeah.
And kind of utilizing that within the workspace is a good thing as well. I think another way to kind of attract business is to just really put yourself out there. And I know it seems cringy, it's like, hey, I'm looking for work. I've just come from, I've just graduated from here, or I've done a couple of jobs here, and I want to do workshops on X, Y, Z. Give me a shot, give me a DM if you want to. Like I've been doing that recently.
Yeah, get your face.
So it's just about putting yourself out there and people having your name in their mouths for the right reasons. Yes. I would say would always be a thing that will bring you a lot more success within this industry than not. So just try and and also I say again, whilst on jobs, respect every single person who's on that job, and I'm not talking about your cast. Your cast you will innately have that for. Even if you're an actor, 100%, man. Get to know your company manager. Get to know the names of every single person you work with from the dressers, from every single part of the department, the sound, band, all of it.
Yeah.
For me, it's a respect thing. It's not even just, this is how you get more business. This is just a respect thing, just being a genuinely good person. Every single person has a role in making sure that show you're doing goes ahead. And if you are not respecting every single person from the cleaner to the top producer, right, then there's something wrong. You need to be aware and be cognizant of the people in that, Yeah, absolutely. And people remember the fact that you remembered them.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And especially people, I'm telling you, you never know where that can lead you. And I would say that, like, it's just a good thing for life. Remember people. Just remember them. Remember their names. Remember what they do. Have the small, phatic conversation. Just do that. See how much you can brighten someone's day by doing that.
Absolutely.
These pieces of advice, they go beyond, performing arts. They go into life as well. Yeah,
agreed completely.
And
who really wants to ever work again with that? With that dick, basically. Whoever wants to work again with him.
Yeah.
So, exactly.
Yeah.
But they'll remember that you stopped someone who's in sound and had a quick chat with them in the morning. That's the sort of thing they'll remember.
Yeah.
And to be a nice guy is a good thing. I know some people say you get walked over, but you don't. You really don't.
I think to be the best type of good person, it takes strength to be good. I think everyone starts in a layer of gray, the kind of midpoint between good and bad. I think, everyone has to have a level of not being walked all over, have a level of danger to them. I'm not saying you need to go around fighting people and kicking people and doing all this type of stuff. I'm kind of paraphrasing Jordan Peterson here. I'm kind of paraphrasing him, but the idea of someone being harmless, therefore they're good, is not a good thing. It means they get walked all over. But someone who is dangerous but chooses to be good has an element of don't mess with that person because they're a good person.
Yeah.
Is that idea of there is no virtue in their self-control. If they have a level of, I won't want to mess with you. I won't want to mess with you. I don't think you can be walked all over. But there's this element of you will always say hi to people. You will always make people feel good and safe and warm and welcomed and kind. Yeah. That's a choice that people make to do that. Where that comes from, I don't know. That's for them to know and them to decide and them to kind of ruminate on.
Yeah.
But the idea of, making the choice to be the best of yourself in a situation, is not going to come off badly. Never. Nice guys don't finish last. People who who have a less element of I'm not to be messed with, and they're just kind of like, oh no, it's fine, you can walk over, that's fine. They're the people who finish. That's the people who finish last. It's like,
there is definitely a bottom and a top level, isn't there? You need to be in the middle, but
yeah.
you really don't
But I think, I'm not saying walk around being nasty. I'm just saying that, stand up for yourself when you get put into a corner where you don't want to be, you don't want to be put there. Stand up for yourself and speak with grace and with eloquence and with a focus.
Well, don't just respect everyone else, yourself,
Absolutely. And I think, all that kind of comes together and homogenizes in a way that allows you to be a very kind of like balanced and well-rounded person, I think. But I think you need to keep that in a industry where you get clapped for everything you do.
Oh yes.
You know what I mean?
Oh yes.
Like you don't clap doctors. We did in lockdown, which was just I don't know, for me, I hated that stuff. I was like, just give him a pay rise, dude. I think I like that.
Yeah.
give him a pay rise. Do you know what I mean? But you don't clap doctors, you don't clap firefighters, you don't clap policemen. They do some of the most dangerous and high risk and high thing jobs, but you clap performers. We expect it, right?
Yeah.
So if we're in an element where we expect to be clapped and to be praised for the things we do, then we should also simultaneously give props, praise, and claps to the people who don't receive the claps, who work in exactly the same place as you.
Yeah.
See them, recognize them, cherish them, but without losing your self-respect.
And mutually respect them. Yeah, no, I completely agree.
Absolutely.
Matt,
100%.
this is deep. I didn't expect to be going this deep today, so thank you.
Man, I told you, man, I love conversations, man. I love it. I love it.
Passionate guy. I like it. So listen, let's end on a happy one. So, do you have any funny stories about your working career? Anything that's crazy?
Oh God.
Okay.
Funny stories, aren't they? Okay, this is one that happened recently and has absolutely sent. And I've got another one as well. I've got a couple. So number one that happened in Dreamgirls. So we were about to go into a song called Family, which is like the quietest, most kind of low energy in terms of kind of like Dreamgirls is this pulse pound a minute show where everything is heightened. It's this heightened reality and heightened charm and heightened smoothness and charisma and everything, right? Everything's heightened.
Yeah.
And family is this real kind of thing where it's to do with family. So it's this very grounded, warm song.
Yeah.
For those who know it, they know, and those who don't, there you go.
Google it.
Yeah, Google it, have a look. It's the main players on stage. So it's Curtis, who I was playing, Jimmy Early, Dina, Laurel, and Effie. Sorry, not Ellie, Effie. And Curtis and Effie have had this massive round. It's kind of made this really awkward silence about kind of where they move forward. So the whole theater is buying into this verisimilitude kind of truth we've created on stage, and they're like buying into it. That eyes agog, like, oh God, what's going to happen next? What's going to happen next? This real quiet, this hush comes over, and there's meant to be a chord, which is meant to be these really lovely, soft, gentle strings. It's like boom type of thing. What about what I need? All that stuff, right? What comes in on that chord was a Phantom of the Opera organ like thing that happened, and it has to go into this really gentle singing. And the guy who's playing Cece, who is the other guy who's in that, and he's about to sing the solo. He says, "It's more than you, it is more than me. Whatever dreams we are a family," or whatever the lyrics are. It's more than you, it is more than me. And it just got worse because we couldn't expel the laughter.
Yeah.
And everyone around us, like the lady who was playing Dina, turned away and was just shaking and vibrating. The guy who's playing Jimmy Early started doing a Lamar's class. He was just like really trying not to laugh. The girl who's playing Laurel, she was just quite like, she was like single tier Denzel Washington crying and vibrating.
The best kind, yeah.
The person who was playing Effie was just like doubled over, and they were just they were trying their best not to laugh. So then they decided to just pretend they were crying, but it was so obvious they were laughing. And then the guy who was singing the song was just trying his best to not collapse the whole scene.
Yeah.
But he was laughing through his scene when it was this really high, like, emotional thing. So that was one of the things. And it was awful because just as it went on, we all had to look at each other and be around each other, and no one was looking at each other. And I kept my eye on the person who was playing Effie. I was like, we can do this. We can do this. It was. Oh, I apologize to any audience who saw it on that day because there was nothing we could do. It was just such a surprise. And yeah, there was that. Oh God, there's been times where I've almost missed a cue, ran up the stairs, fell down the stairs, like absolutely stacked it.
Yeah. Well,
You know,
you are allowed to way.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, and just fluffs of lines and stuff. I mean, there's always something that the audience don't know that could be happening on stage that is relatively silly.
Yeah.
And I think, the beauty of those days, you just get to see how human people are and how funny people can be. And just when people make mistakes, it's just kind of like laughing through it and just going, oh, it's not that deep, it's fine.
No, that's
and
it.
I think that's a beauty because we put, in the industry we're in, once we get to the point, like I said, all those trials, tribulations, we get to the top of the hill, we're in the job, it's amazing, we're doing it. We put a lot of our pressure on ourselves because we know how hard we fought to get there,
Absolutely.
right? So having those moments on stage where we just get to drop the mask a bit, and it's not things that people purposefully go out and do. They're not purposely trying to ruin the truth of the scene. It's just sometimes human error happens, and it is some of the funniest things in the world, and it's great. Yeah, and I think you still realize it's this kind of brilliant kind of fourth wall break in a sense of like that. Oh yeah, we are actually watching real people on stage and not watching the villain that's I usually get cast as villains. The villains he's portraying, or the hero that they're portraying. It's these real people doing a job, and sometimes flops happen and people give leeway to that. And
that's it.
It's good.
It's part of the real sort of treat when you go. I mean, especially Panto, which is a little bit more tongue in cheek. That happens a lot more, doesn't it? But when you go to a big show in London in a theatre and you're thinking this is really good, and then something like that happens, it's even better because it's just so unexpected.
Yeah, because brilliant. You're expecting this perfectly creative thing, which we rehearse tirelessly. The better part of a month every day. 6 to 7 hours a day. Just plugging away at small scenes, choreography, scene changes, all this type of stuff, and intention, and all these things you have to think about whilst being on stage. And it's just there'll be one thing that's just out of place at that time, and you just lose it. Because your body's holding on to so much. Yeah, you have to just kind of expel it when it happens. And it's just like, it's kind of came out of nowhere. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I love those. I love those kind of like funny, silly moments on stage. There's some of the stuff I look back on, some of the stuff I've done in my career, and just cracked up for a good. Yeah, they fill me with very good memories.
Oh, that's good. That's really good to hear because you have to have good memories. Like you just have to have them, basically.
Oh yeah, and I'd say what as well. This is another thing as well. Like I just as you're saying, giving advice to people who are looking to get into career art and be inspired by. Whether you're in a job or not in a job, every single day is a gift. And that's the reason why they tell you to live in the present, right? They tell you to live in the present because every day is a gift.
Yeah.
Every time you're on a job, it's really hard because, you get given a 50-week contract, right? It's never a full year because obviously that would tie them into a rolling contract. So, they give you a 50 week contract.
Yeah.
50 weeks, 50 years. 50-week contract. I know, this is a life sentence. They give you a 50-week contract, and they do that on purpose. So every moment of that kind of first bit of that contract, and you're not thinking about auditioning or where to go to next or will I get another job or whatever. Just on those days where you're feeling tired, it's past the kind of like 3 to 4 month excitement honeymoon period of a job,
Yep.
and it's, oh my God, you're in this, and people are really still making a fuss about it. Enjoy those days where this has become your mundanity. Enjoy those days and enjoy them as the gift they are.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it is one of them things where it's like, this job has become mundane to me because I've got used to it. Think about the point where you're at the bottom of that hill, looking up and wondering how the hell you're going to get to that point. Your mundanity is now the top of that hill.
Yeah, you're looking down now.
Enjoy the view.
Yeah.
Enjoy the view. And help others to get up to that view with you.
Oh.
And enjoy each day as the gift that it is. That's why it's called the present.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it is. That's why it's there.
Do you know what,
and I think, as long as you keep...
I was going to say, if you got any final words, but I feel like you're already doing this, so I don't need to ask, because I feel like these are really good.
Yeah, I think it's that, I think just enjoying each day for what it is, so that when you do look back, when you are in the future of what you're, kind of worrying about, and, it's something you can't control anyway. The future is something you can't control.
No, that's right.
So when you are, in the future and, you're worrying about stuff and or if, if you're in another job or whatever, you want to be able to look back on the time that you had with a really, really fond sigh. And you'll know it if you've ever experienced something which you love and you've had to leave and move on to something else. And it's still within what you're doing. You're still acting.
Yeah.
But it's something you had great pride in, or you thought was amazing, or you met some great people there, or you grew a lot, or whatever. There are productions to this day that I did 6-7 years ago. I look back on with the fondest sigh, because those memories that are in your head are there because you enjoyed the present.
Exactly.
That would be my final kind of words.
You were actually present, and I think that's very important as well. So just to be present in the moment. So, yeah.
Yeah, man, absolutely.
Matt, thank you so very much for this. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. And
oh, no problem, man. Thank you for having me on. I really appreciate you reaching out, man. Honestly.
That's right. Well, anyway, I'll take it easy, and I'll see you later.
Yeah, see you later, man.
If you would like to guest on the podcast, or if you know someone who would, please get in touch via the website www.mortgagesforactors.com, or look for us on our social media, Instagram, Facebook, or TikTok.